Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to Detox tonight. If anybody's here early and you want to take 4 or 5 minutes to sit and find yourself in a nice, comfortable and seated position, resting your head above your heart. It's very basic, and the direction is to observe the air when it's coming into your body and observe the air that is going out of your body without changing it in any way. Obviously, use your mind to observe the air coming in and the air going out, and sit in the stillness. And so once you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and head resting above your heart, and palms gently covering your knees, elbows resting in by your ribs. And at first, you may not even notice the breath. And the mind does so many different things at different times. And so you may not even notice the breath as you start to make your way through the transition, become more aware of your breath and your body. And then once you pick it up, you make that your soft focus, observing the air coming in, observing the air going out. Feel the breath in your body. If you've been sitting, sit a little bit taller. And wherever you may have drifted, wherever your mind may have gone, bring it back to your breath. And feel it support you in your seat. And feel into your hips, feel into your knees. And feel your feet and perhaps your ankles being crossed. And your low back, your mid-spine, and your shoulder girdle, and top of your shoulders, around your arms, all the way back down into your hands. And as slowly as you can, begin to bring your eyes back into your space. And notice how you feel. And see if there's a shift. So we're exploring this kind of like an experiment. If you do end up getting onto your mat early, and you're here, I go live about 15 minutes before every class. We're sitting for 5 minutes with no expectation and very simple. And observe the air coming into your body, observe the air going out of your body. Mindfulness meditation and letting your mind do whatever it's doing, observing the sensations and becoming better listener, better observer, and within self going inward. And then just noticing what that feels like as you come out and transition into the practice of flow or into the practice of detox yin. And hi Ren, hi Sherry, hi Derek, welcome you guys. And if you're still getting set up, make sure you have your yoga block, blanket, stack of pillows, anything to pad your body in these positions. And you're basically filling up the ground. We want to get as heavy as we can into the ground, and the way our bodies are shaped, sometimes that's a pretty uncomfortable endeavor. So we bring the ground to our body with objects like blocks and bolsters and blankets. And so have all of that good stuff around you. Have something to drink. You're at home, so you can have anything to drink that you'd like. What if we made that the new landscape at the studio in the hot room? Hey, bring whatever you want to drink. But you're at home, so you drink what you like. Cup of tea, water, adult beverage, whatever. All right, it's 7:30, everybody, so I'm going to go ahead and start the live stream playlist on the Earbuds Music app. If you're following along, right, and you're following me, you should see in the upper right-hand side, I'd say like a third of the way down the screen, it says following. Click on that, and that's where you should see the live playlist pop up. If you just go to my profile, you may only see the old playlist that we've played before. So where it says following, about a third of the way down the screen, click on it. Should be a little red light showing that something and someone is live. And then click on the playlist that says live. And see you guys jumping on. Derek, hi Roz, got your tea. And Simone, hello. Biz, welcome. In my observation of the space tonight as I came back to the garden, I wonder if you know the spirit of the practice, the pattern of the practice is waking anything up. And if I let my eyes just kind of settle down onto the ground, there are a lot of little critters moving around. And the one day I practiced in a flow, there was a slug just over top of the mat, and he or she would meander onto the mat and then kind of move around. I practiced around little ants moving on the mat, never stepping on them, making that part of the practice. But it's nice to feel a part of that raw energy, that energy where it's less about what you do and who you are. And it's more vulnerable than that. And so I pose that question to all of us as we get onto our mat tonight, and you can make your way into Shavasana lying on your back and see what we can do to become a little bit more raw, a bit more vulnerable, even if that's in your approach and how you set this practice up, knowing that we really don't have any control around what it's going to do and how it's going to go and what we're going to feel. Ari, welcome back. Okay, so I wish you all a beautiful practice tonight, whatever that may look like. Beauty isn't necessarily in what you know it to be or what you can compare it to be. You can only base beauty in what you've identified as beautiful so far. And so a new feeling, a new moment, a new evening detoxing could present something that you've never seen before, and you're like, that is beautiful. Right, I'm going to meet you on your back in Shavasana. Can't wait till we can actually do this in a room again together, especially a hot room. And then watch it like, well, a lot of people were watching the waves this weekend on the beaches according to the videos and the photographs, but imagine that you're able to just kind of lay back and watch the waves roll through your body. And so you remove the muscular activation, even what it took for you to walk over to your mat tonight. You're going to remove that muscular action. And in Shavasana, you may already start putting some padding. So I would say, like the first 30 seconds of any pose as I'm guiding you, intuitively place props wherever you would like to. I don't want to break apart your flow. I don't want to always describe all the ideas and the places that you can put a pillow or a blanket. And so roll with your intuition. In like first 30 seconds, so you're not constantly distracted and moving around. Once you hit around 30 seconds, then start to head in the direction of stillness. And this is the practice where we can really strip ourselves raw and be completely vulnerable, because it has absolutely no basis or no identity around what it looks like. It doesn't matter what the poses look like. It doesn't matter if you can straighten your leg or you got to sit in a bent knee. It doesn't matter if your spine is crooked and twisted due to scoliosis, or it doesn't matter if you have a hip replacement, you had a shoulder surgery. All that matters is that you're sitting in the wholeness and the interconnected relationship of your entire body, every single part. Settle, soften, and I'll give you a few moments of silence here to relax and observe in where you're at tonight. And through this adventure of life, one that we're all in together, you notice if you're bumping up against or there's moments where you're meeting previous versions of yourself from the past. And confrontation is a beautiful teacher, especially if you approach it with peace. So you're not looking to fight with the previous version of yourself because you weren't even expecting for and that quality or that behavior to rise to the surface. But if it does, you meet that previous version with peace and acceptance. Say hello. Introduce this version of yourselves. And invite that previous version along for the ride in the practice. You don't push it away. And let it come with you. And give yourself a light stretch. Take your arms over your head. And feel your arms and your shoulders. And ribs in your hips. You can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, open your mouth, take a yawn, stretch. And let's start in threading the needle tonight. So bend your legs, feet flat. And let's bring the left ankle to your right thigh so you've got a figure 4 shape. And your hands can start on your left shin. Keep your right foot flat onto the mat. And there's no judgment. And there's only the opportunity and to flow with the waves and whatever you're meeting in your body to create more space. And so this is a place to start. Also, you can reach your left hand through and start with your fingers interlaced behind your right hamstring. And knuckles through knuckles, and so your grip is pretty much locked and you're not holding on in strength. If you're somewhere in between those two, you could always put something underneath your head, and that should help you keep the hands on the hamstring, and while also keeping the shoulders heavy, and your jaw and your chin soft towards your chest. You got yourself set up. Let's have a practice tonight. Be with the stillness, and at the same time feel the togetherness of everybody in participating in this evening. So nice to be with you all. I was telling you guys the other night, there's an owl in the neighborhood. I've noticed pretty consistently now for about the last 7 or 8 nights that we've been in the garden that pretty much 7 o'clock, 7 to 7:10, the owl is hooting. And sometimes it's in the tree right in front of me. I've never seen it yet, though, and sometimes, like tonight, it was in a tree behind me somewhere. So that's pretty cool. I'd say nature surrounds us to support us, and if we're open to it. You might be exploring your neighborhood these days and going for walks and whatnot. Well, maybe a tree calls you and you sit down underneath that tree on a regular basis and you just see what happens around you as you sit. So you become the constant. You become a pillar in your own and foundational experience of life. And then observe all the variables and the things that are shifting and moving around you. Growth and process. Ups and downs, good things and bad things. New relationships, broken relationships. And you can stay in any phase of this pose. And for the last minute or so, if you want to go a little bit deeper, lift the head, slide the hands up onto the right shin. And then gently let your shoulders and your head come back down onto the ground. And keep the belly soft. And see what happens in your mind when you're already open and you're feeling vulnerable, and then you increase the intensity of the sensation. And what happens to your will. And what flows through the relativity of confidence and timing into where you're at in your life right now. Tuesday evening in 2020. And wherever you are, close your eyes and feel the release begin to soften your grip. And bring your right foot back down onto the mat. Uncross your left ankle from your right thigh. And let it go straight out onto your mat. And feel the openness into your inner left hip crease. And observe your left side and release your right leg as well. And go ahead and close your eyes here. Rest and become more aware simultaneously of your entire being. Feel your next breath. Go ahead and take your arms back over your head. Give yourself a full body stretch. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Open your mouth, yawn. And bend the legs, bring your feet back onto the mat. And right ankle to your left thigh, and we'll set up thread the needle on the other side. And start left foot flat. Hands onto your right shin. And find balance in your hips first. And just a square so there's an evenness. If you're already feeling it pretty well, you can stay right here. Here, reach your right hand through, interlace the fingers on the back of your left hamstring. And then shoulders and head come back down. And if you're somewhere in between, and don't fight it, put something under your head. And that'll help let your shoulders release. And somewhere in your next 3 breaths, and start to make your way into the stillness. And let's continue to open up tonight. It could feel great to stay right where you are if you want to and dive into a little bit more space for the last minute. Hands either behind the hamstring or on top of the left shin. And keep your hips heavy and then let your shoulders and followed by your head and come back down onto the mat. And keep your chin soft. You're definitely getting into the outer right hip, but if you're holding so much tension into your neck and your shoulders, and you should feel some traction, opening up more space there as well. And softly and slowly, you can begin to release your grip and let your left foot come back down onto the mat. Uncross your right ankle and extend it long, and slide your left heel out, both legs straight. And then observe your right side. And sit in the release, open up a little bit more. Feel it open your chest. Take your arms over your head. Point your toes one more time. Yawn. Move slowly. Bend your legs. Bring your feet flat. You roll onto your right side. And then turn. Make your way all the way up to all fours. And then once you get to all fours, little different tonight, you guys, come onto your feet. Stand up. And turn to face the side edge of your mat. And then separate your feet for a wide-legged forward fold. So your feet are parallel to one another. And then go ahead and lead with your chest. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. You can use a prop underneath your hands. But continue to fold. As you let your hands set, if you need to walk your hands back a little bit. And then let your head fall below your heart tonight, please. You notice the parts where you're holding on to the fear of evolving into this next beautiful version of yourself. And should you meet a previous version, should you be able to see, again, meet that version with a peace offering and with less judgment and more opportunity, and so that you can build in this beautiful foundation of confidence and openness. You might say one love. You might say sometimes the hardest things that have happened to us in our lives, and with our practice become the greatest gifts, because we know that we're always supported. And we know that the love is inside of us and all around us endlessly, with abundance, and there's no limits. And layer by layer, without force, you can continue and to fold. And let gravity do the work. If you're ever having a hard time falling asleep,
You can just kind of slide off on the side of your bed and bring yourself into this position for 3 to 5 minutes and then slide back into your bed, and you'll probably fall asleep pretty soon thereafter. And feel if you've been holding on to anger and frustration in the back of your jaw, what it feels like, and to release that. A little space between your lips. And can come out in the form of a sigh or a little growl. And sometimes in this practice, I notice people growling, gurgling, and things moving about. And great space opening up. And very slowly begin to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Use your arms and to take a little bit of the edge off in the back body and your hamstrings. And then take your left toes, turn them out on a 45-degree angle. And slowly we're going to start to walk the hands over towards your left foot. And so the heel turns in. You can drag on your right heel and turn your right toes to point up. And so we're going to come into a side lunge squat. If the left heel lifts a little bit, that's okay. You don't have to force it down. And if it can stay flat, keep it flat. And set your arms without strength and just use the hands and so that you can balance. And gaze can fall down towards the ground. And you're welcome to keep your eyes open, or if you feel pretty balanced and you can close the eyes down. And we sit. Enjoy some Billy Joel tonight. And happy birthday, Brooke. About 90 more seconds on this side, everybody. And feel this peaceful resolve. And perhaps you're realizing the version of yourself tonight that you've always aspired to be. It's actually happening. Now, if you're starting to get some tingles in your toes, that's pretty normal. You've been in this for several minutes, last 60 seconds. Now here's the key. Crawl slowly. Use your knuckles. You can do it. And Ben would love this, like little gorilla hands make fists. And use them through your left foot and start to draw your hips back to center. And take a beat, pause at center. Shall we go on to the other side? And turn your right toes out 45 degrees. And walk your hands over to your right foot. And let that leg bend as your hips come down. And keep the heel heavy as you turn and the left toes up. And adjust your hands out in front of you on the mat and so that you can balance and set still. I mean, this is real. Trust me, I'm right in it with you guys. Keep the head heavy. Let's stay with it about 90 more seconds on this side. 1 minute. Release the jaw, stay right where you are, and take 3 deep breaths, please. Exhale out of your mouth. And then go ahead and make those gorilla fists. And use your knuckles into the mat. And as you start to push it away, slowly bring your hips back to center. And feel all of the sensations here. And then you can come down onto your right knee. And come down onto your left knee. And it's all good to keep facing the side edge of your mat. And let the tops of your feet go flat. And then sit back onto your heels. And head above your heart, please. You've literally stretched and opened up the sole and the arches of your feet. And take your hands, weave the fingers together and like a basket, and then put the back of your hands on the top of your thighs. If it's just too intense, then put your block or your pillow underneath your bum. But you may notice that you can sit in these vibrations of your body and connect your mind down to your lower back and observe little pulses, big pulses, energy moving through and across, up and down your sacrum. With lightness and peace in your heart. And we continue to wake up here tonight. And to be the most raw and the most vulnerable, the open and inviting version of ourselves, and that is possible. Not that we can force, not that we can manipulate with our minds, not that which we want to be, but who we actually are right now. And let's give your mind some heart love tonight, and go ahead and open your arms like a T. And then take your left arm underneath your right arm and cross the chest, and then come into some eagle arms. Elbows crossed, forearms twisted, cross at the wrist, and working your hands in towards a prayer position. And take the kinks out of your neck, let your chin settle in. You're welcome to close your eyes here. Let's keep your hips heavy and your eagle arms remain. And then all you can do is just kind of fold yourself forward and let your forearms rest on your thighs. And go slow, start to roll yourself back up. And close your eyes, feel the stack of your spine. And you start to uncross your wrists and your forearms and your elbows. And bring your arms by your sides, let them hang heavy. Notice where you're at tonight. You can let your eyes come back into the room and take your arms back out into a T. And then go bring the opposite arm on top. Twist your arms. Drawing back into the upper body eagle shape. And the visionary, the eagle. And keep your hips heavy, and then from here simply begin to fold yourself forward. And let your forearms come down onto your thighs. And forehead can release into your forearms. And go nice and slow as you roll yourself back up through your spine. You might be feeling that raw vulnerability now with the space in your heart, and you can start to release your wrists and your forearms and your elbows. Let your arms hang down by your sides. Close the eyes. You're probably feeling something you've never felt before. And go ahead and fill your chest with a breath. A soft sigh, and you can open the eyes. And go ahead and rock off onto your right hip. You watch the sensations through your legs and down into your feet. And stretch your legs out long and go ahead and lie down onto your face. As you lie down onto your back, big toes fall out. Arms can relax by your sides. Feel the weight of your shoulders, the openness of your hips, all the way down through the tops of your feet. Into the soul of your heart, mind, into what just might be the perhaps your approach into the whole thing. And take the arms over your head, let them rest down onto the ground. Bring the soles of your feet together and so that your knees can fall apart. And final pose before Shavasana tonight, and some symmetry and some balance and some peace. And feel what happens when you literally fall out of the stress. And the grip that you had in your jaw is no longer there. The angst and that you were carrying in your heart, and the desires and the fears that were tagging along in your mind when they're just not there anymore. If there's ever a practice where I know that the seeds that we're planting with the words that we're using can be powerful, it's this practice. Because our minds have such an opportunity to confront the things that sit with us from our past. And the mind has the opportunity to really look at the fears and the boundaries and the limitations that have come to be built like walls, narrowing our profile, putting us into in the box and where we think we're comfortable, but we're really not. And go ahead and bring your knees back together. You can gently bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a soft squeeze. And then go ahead and release that squeeze. And let your legs go straight into your final Shavasana tonight. As you come into your Shavasana, I invite you to explore, without any previous definition of what you may have thought was beautiful, explore where you're actually most comfortable. Where you can exist most freely in acceptance of your being, including your body and your mind. And when you start to notice the differences, you don't just have to react and change your environment. It can be these very subtle, mindful adjustments. We're going for sustainability of peace and compassion, and loving kindness and awareness. And it comes through the moment where you realize, but in order for it to be with you, without you pushing it away, slow and subtle and mindful adjustments into all those variables that are around you. All the things changing.
As always, I want to invite you guys to stay in your Shavasana. You be gentle with yourselves. Reach out if you have any questions. I know even virtually this is deep practice. And so please reach out if you have any questions. I hope you can feel the love. I hope you can feel the support. And the more you sit still, the more you acknowledge stillness as a practice. And that support may continue to rise. And I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow morning for our 10 a.m. practice and flow. And I hope you have a beautiful sleep. And sending you all lots of love. And be good, everybody. Namaste.